Hi, I hope you're doing well. And as soon as I decide to put the video on, that's when the sun comes out. And I do love the sun, but it is quite bright in my eyes. But we're just going to plug on through and be grateful that the sun is actually shining because it's been quite dark in the last month or so. So I hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to come in and just talk a little bit about, well, I guess the biggest cycle of our lives that's going to be happening in just about 12 days because today's November 23rd. And that's when Pluto is finally going to move into gate 41. Of course, we had Pluto moving into gate 41 before, like earlier in the year. And we had gate 60, which we have now, gate 60, line 6. And that's sort of the end of that cycle. And when you look at it, it's the full mandala. The Pluto has gone around the full mandala. And it's a huge moment in our life. And it's one of those types of moments that we have an opportunity to live through, and a lot of generations haven't had that opportunity like we have. So it seems like a very impactful and pivotal moment. And when we look at gate 41, we look at it as that moment when everything begins. It's the initiating codon. It's the only initiating codon in the whole human design body graph. And I've talked about this many, many times, but I think it is really an important moment. And when you look at the actual chart of when Pluto moves into gate 41, line 1, and again, think about this. Pluto is going to be in gate 41 right until February 2028. So it's going to be with us for a very long time. Now, this is especially impactful for anybody who has an open solar plexus with a hanging gate 30. You will get the full 3041 channel activated, activating emotional energy and activating root energy as well. And this can really be an impactful time for you for the next couple of years. Now, if you're someone who doesn't have a defined emotional center or defined solar plexus and suddenly you have this emotional energy, you may notice that it could be a very different feeling, this hunger, this desire, this need to do what you want to do, this emotional connection and attachment to doing what you want to do. And it's something that can sometimes get out of hand. And the most important thing is to see your way forward in that sometimes the need to get ahead, the need to get what you want becomes so much of an obsession that it's something that you sort of lose your track. Now, this is something that a lot of people may feel into for sure. So it's not just somebody with a hanging gate 30 for sure. A lot of us can feel into this energy, especially anybody who has abstract energy. Even if you have gate 30 hanging and you don't have the full channel, whenever you get gate 41, that's going to give you a new type of emotional channel. So maybe you're emotionally defined in a different way. But it links into gate 41 links into the whole abstract channel. So you imagine it comes from the root center, goes to the emotional center, and then goes right up to the throat. What's especially interesting with this transit is the moment or the time when Pluto moves into gate 41. It's going to be on December 5th, 2025 at about, I think, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And it just happens that at that particular time, we have the sun in gate 5, the Earth in gate 35, and we still have Saturn in gate 36. So we have the full 35, 36 channel, which means that the only link that we're missing out of the whole full abstract channel that goes from the root for the 4130 right to the 3635 to the throat center is gate 30. So we have this activation of a manifesting channel. We're beginning a brand new cycle, a cycle that is the beginning of all things. As I've said before, this is the beginning of the countdown to 2027. And what you'll notice is that there's a lot more happening that people are talking about 2027 more than they were before. I know that Richard Rudd did something with Pam Gregory not long ago. They had a conversation about 2027. I didn't have an opportunity to watch it yet, but I will have a look at it. And so a lot of more people are talking about this whole change in energy. And it really is a huge change in energy. When we look at the initiating codon of everything suddenly being activated by Pluto, transforming everything, and then 2026 being the hugely impactful year that it will be. And I will be unloading some information about that. It seems as though we are being asked to stand in our truth, to stand in our authenticity, and to move into this new cycle, but also to understand that when we're moving into the energy of gate 41, this is the energy of decrease. Now, decrease has many ways of looking at it, but the one thing that we can always say that it is cyclical energy. So we are absolutely closing out a cycle of some kind. And you will some people will feel it as a huge cycle. I know I'm feeling that a huge cycle is closing for me, and I know that other people are feeling the same. Other people may not be feeling that same feeling, but having said that, when everybody else is moving into new cycles, it's hard not to sort of be affected in some way where you feel something. Now, the cycle doesn't mean that you have to start a new job, a new relationship, or something new. It could just be that suddenly you just feel differently. Maybe you don't necessarily want to do the same things you've always wanted to do, and there's a new sort of desire for experience. This is the French would say the joie de vie, the joy of life, to find that drop of beauty in life and to live life on your own terms. And this is what Pluto is asking us to do. But, Pluto's going to also ensure that we are going to make those changes that are necessary. It's not something that we're being gently guided through. Pluto isn't a gentle guide. Pluto is the truth. And so when we look at Pluto's taking away all those things that don't really matter in our lives anymore. And this is where it's all about decrease, and we're moving away from things that no longer serve us, things that no longer work in our lives. And so we're walking into a new cycle, and we're not bringing all the baggage from the past. We're taking what we need, the important things of what's necessary for us. And I think it's really interesting because anybody who's watched my new moon video just a couple days ago, I did actually do a sponsorship with Otter Spirit, and it was really interesting because I'd never done anything like that before. And what's really synchronistic for me, because I do really feel I'm starting a new cycle. Pluto has been sitting with gate 3 for me for the last couple of years. I've had Neptune in gate 36 and Saturn there now, hooking up to my gate 35, and a lot of stuff happening. And I know this isn't really about me, but I'm just trying to say that I feel the transits just like everybody else is I'm down there in the trenches with you, even if I'm not necessarily always talking about it. But what was interesting is that I decided that I was going to do a partnership with Otter Spirit, who make these beautiful gemstone bracelets. They're also helping otters to reestablish their environment or their ecosystem in Monterey Bay. Sounded like a pretty good idea to do. Because I'd never done anything like that before. And what was really interesting is I got 4 different bracelets. One was called a Virgo pack because I'm a Virgo. And then I also got a selenite bracelet. And it almost told a story, which really just talks about how life is so synchronistic. Because in that bracelet pack was jade, which is about starting new cycles, beginning something new. It's about renewal. And it's like sort of closing out that circle. And then selenite is about sort of cleansing, getting rid of all the things that don't matter anymore. And then the other one is purple fluorite. And this is about that sort of mind cloud that a lot of us have been living through because of the 63, 64 nodes. And finally, peridot, which is my birthstone, it's like a breath of fresh air, something new, something fresh, something green. And it's almost like spring-like, although it's not spring where I'm living. But, if you're in New Zealand or Australia, it is spring for you. So it was like the universe is speaking to say, look, we're starting something new. It's going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. And things may not look like they always did. We know that, especially with this 2027 mutation, but it's still going to be okay because humanity is resilient. And I think another interesting thing that has happened is, when you look at this concept of how Pluto is changing things so much and its decrease. So we know that it pulls apart the things that no longer work. It takes away the dead wood. That stuff that's in the world that doesn't work. Now, I always like to look at politics. Not that I want to talk about politics, but I want to look at politics as an entity, in that politics has gotten very different over the last couple of years, more toxic, more rhetoric, more vitriol, more of all of that. And what we see is a lot of people sort of going to a certain party and saying, well, this has always been my party. I'm going to stick with that party. What I see for the future is that we have leaders going to be chosen for their leadership skills, not because they're part of a party. And I see that there's more independent leaders who are standing in the forefront. They want to lead. Why do they want to lead? Because they want to enact a change. And this is what we are going to see, I think, in the future. People are who are standing up, people who are coming to the forefront, people like you know, maybe you've always wanted to do something like that, but you never felt you were the right kind of person because, you know, you didn't like the way politics are, or you didn't like the way business is, or you didn't like the way. But this is giving us an opportunity to bring our own spirit, our own energy into this space to start to create something new, something beautiful, something that's ours. Of course, this is not going to be created overnight, because when we talk about Gate 41, this is the longest cycle of well, we're never going to see the end of it. Even if you're born that day, you will not see the full cycle of Pluto going through the mandala, and it will not come back to Gate 41 for about 248 years. But what it does say is it's this opportunity. It's the most incredible seed that we've all been given. But everybody's got their own unique seed. And that's what human design talks about. It is our unique seed. What is unique about us? What can we give to the world? What do we want to share with the world? Because you always look at Gate 41 as being abstract energy, abstract collective energy. Collective energy is always, always about sharing. And so this is just a moment to think about, what do I want to share with the world? What do I want to leave as my legacy? What have I been putting on the back burner that no longer can be back there, that needs to come to the front, that needs to sort of come through me to shine, to bring my light to the world, whatever that is? Everybody has a light. And it doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what people do. Within you is a spark that deserves to be grown, deserves to be nurtured, and deserves to turn into something that you can feel proud of. And some people, it will be in a big way where it's more flourish. And maybe you want to be in the public eye, or maybe you just want to be doing volunteer work with people that you enjoy being with. There's no just in anything. It's always about what makes you feel good. And Gate 41, Pluto Gate 41 is going to ask us all, what makes you feel good? What no longer makes you feel good? And it's your choice to decide to let go of what no longer serves you and to move into a new cycle. And I really hope that everybody starts to feel into that energy and starts to plan for tomorrow, because 2026 is going to be a year of change. But change is not bad. Change removes things so that we can have more things that we want in our lives. And that's what I'm looking at with this big transition of Pluto into Gate 41. I just wanted to come in and say it's a big moment in time. And I mean, I think it's not by happenstance that we have the 3536 channel in play at the same time. That's activating that manifesting ability. Not only are we getting the seed that Pluto is planting, but it's also giving us this ability to start to manifest something, not manifested overnight. That world doesn't exist. It might exist on TikTok or Instagram or all those places where they can do everything in a couple seconds. But in the real world, everything that matters takes time. It takes effort, and it takes patience with the process. And it will come in ebbs and flows. You'll get ahead a little bit, and then you'll stop. And you'll get ahead a little bit, and you'll stop. And sometimes you'll go back a little bit, but then you'll go ahead again. And that's what it's all about. Life is about living. This is about saying, this is life, and I'm going to live every single moment just as if it's the most precious thing in the world, because it truly is. Life is something that we can't get back when it's over. And so now it's about living in this moment, in this now, and being open to what the universe wants to share with us and seeing what happens as we move forward. And I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. And until next time, take care and bye for now.